This is the BC Food and Wine Radio Network. Now, here's Anthony Gismondi.
Hello, British Columbia. Our next guest takes us to Spain's Penedès region, just north of Barcelona, to speak with none other than Miguel Torres, fifth generation and general manager of Familia Torres. Miguel, welcome to the show. Great to talk to you today.
Great to be with all of you, Anthony. Great to talk to you.
So much fun to talk to a foreign winemaker, having been locked down for so long on both sides of the ocean, I guess. But really great to catch up with you. I want to start first of all with Familia Torres has been voted the world's most admired wine brand by professionals of the wine sector. It was a special supplement of Drinks International, but your company has come in first for the fifth time in 11 editions of this prestigious global ranking. I don't know how you do it, but you are the most admired wine brand in Europe. What is that? What does it take to get that so many times?
Well, I don't really have a clear answer to this question. You know, we just do what we like. That is to make wine. We are very close to the vineyards here. And we have done this since 1870, since we founded the winery. I'm the fifth generation now, and I'm happy that we have a great team that I think that they live from the same values that we have now. So we always want to bring the best thing from the land, from the vineyards to the glasses. Huh?
Right. Well, I'm one of the things I love about even talking about brands, because sometimes when people think of brands, they think of ordinary wines or low cost wines. But when we talk about brands like Torres, we talk about great wines in all different price ranges. So that's something that consumers can latch on to. And I think what we've noticed during the pandemic was that some of these brands have really resurfaced because consumers have been staying at home and drinking those wines and enjoying them, or maybe perhaps rediscovering them. So that's kind of a nice injection, I think, for wineries that have been working hard.
Yeah, well, you know, I think that here in Spain, especially my grandfather was one of the first ones really trying to make the wines more known around the world, and he traveled extensively when most of the winemakers or the winery owners were staying in their wineries without traveling, and this is what made some of our wines became brands around the world. And you know, it's a great thing. We really love these wines, and we really are very proud of them. Yeah.
Yeah, you should be. Our guest is Miguel Torres. He's a fifth generation and general manager at Familia Torres in Spain. I want to get to the subject that you're most passionate about and which I believe takes most of your time today, and that's climate change. But I think the reason why I'm so excited to talk to you is that you don't talk so much about it as you actually do stuff about it. So let's start with Torres and Earth and why and how you got involved in climate change. Let's start there, and we can move on from that. Why are you doing it now? Why is it so important now?
Well, you know, honestly, the fact that we are a family and we have been making wine for such a long time, I really think that gave us perspective already in 2008 to understand what was going on, no? Because we look at the harvest and the grapes were getting riper, but earlier than the previous years, no? And we would see all these climatic events like big, like large rains, or then it was very dry for many months. So there was something strange that maybe for me or my sisters we could not see so easily because we are younger. But for my father, you know, he had this perspective of so many years. And then we realized that the climate was changing. And this, of course, affects to the vineyards because vines, the vines are very sensitive to changes in temperature. And as we want that the next generations in our family can continue making wine, we decided that we had to do something, at least on ourselves, to start changing things, right?
Mm-hmm. So you zeroed in. I know that you did a lot of experimentation. In fact, I was there when you were sort of at the end of the experimentation and saying, okay, well, we've tried all these things. Now we have to get going and actually implement them. But let's maybe start with CO2 emissions and what your targets are and how reachable they are and how sensible is it to even focus on CO2 emissions. Some people, don't accept that. But what's your plan at Torres?
Well, the first thing was that, of course, to fight against climate change, we had to fight against the carbon emissions, no? So we started a big program that we call it Torres on Earth, where we compromise ourselves to reduce our carbon emissions, starting from 2008 to have carbon neutrality on 2040, no? On 2020, we already had an intermediate goal that was to reach 30% carbon reduction in all our process of winemaking in all the company. And we actually achieved that goal. We actually reduced more than 30%. And now we are aiming for the next years to reach this close to 60 or 70%. And then get the carbon neutrality already before the targets of Paris.
Yeah. How hard has it been? What can you tell us? Maybe just some of the practical things that you've done to reduce your emissions that other wineries could pursue or should think about.
Yeah, sure. Look, one of the key things, of course, is to try to work as much as you can with your own energy, right? So there are different sources of natural energy that you can use. I would recommend to all the wineries to start with biomass boilers. This is important because you know that in a winery you really need to heat a lot of water to clean from oak barrels to stainless steel tanks. Okay, so if you can use a kind of fuel that is not a fossil fuel, but it's wood that you can actually take after the pruning from the vineyards or from forests nearby, your carbon emissions really go very, very down, and it's very efficient, no? But aside of that, of course, we have heavily invested in photovoltaic panels, in solar panels, in geothermal energy, and also this year we're very happy because we achieved to have success in an experiment that we're looking for a long time, and this is to capture the carbon that is released during the fermentation of wines. When you see that the grape juice is fermenting, all these bubbles that come out, of course, these are CO2. So we are capturing that CO2, and we are using for other purposes in the winery. So this is also very good. This I would say that would be some of the things. Of course, you can also reduce the weight of the package. There's no sense today to bottle the wines with such a heavy glasses that we all used to use 10 or 20 years ago, right? Yeah, there are many things. Also, you can isolate better the tanks to be more efficient in terms of temperature, changing cars from regular engines to electric cars as we are doing. And these would be mainly the things that we can do in the area of the winery. But what we are working now, and it's a project I love very much, is on what can we do in the vineyard, no? And here, this is something that is starting also here in Spain called regenerative viticulture. Right? It's another way to understand the vineyards.
Yeah. Well, we hear a lot about regenerative viticulture. Why would you pursue that now, and how will that help you achieve your goals?
Well, the main reason why we arrived to this point is that there was a certain point where we were planting a lot of trees also in order to compensate part of our emissions. But then we really gave a big thought about why a vineyard cannot actually work as a forest, no? A forest can actually capture the carbon in the trees, in the soil, but the vineyard, actually a conventional vineyard, it releases carbon to the atmosphere, even if it's many times in organic viticulture, no? So the main reason are the practices that we have been doing for many, many years. For example, the use of tractor. No, when we plow the soil, what we are doing is opening the soil, and then all the organic matter oxidizes, and this is carbon that is released into the atmosphere. No, right. So one of the key things on regenerative viticulture is not to plow the soils. Okay, stop moving the soil on the top. So we are imitating nature a lot on that sense, no? And we always want to have a cover crop. So that means we want grass always during the whole year in the soil of the vineyards, no? This grass helps us to capture the carbon from the atmosphere and to store it in the soil, no? So on a certain way, we are doing that a vineyard can imitate a forest, right? And can capture the carbon into the soil too.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's fascinating stuff, Miguel, and I know that you've piqued the interest of other people around the world too. So I wanted to maybe talk a little bit about the IWCA, or the International Wineries for Climate Action. So let's start with this organization. Is this to share this information, or how has it come about? And I know you started it with the Jackson Family Winery in California. Tell us a little bit about it.
Exactly. We started with the Jackson family, and as we were two families, we both share these worries, about what was going to happen with the vineyards, the influence of the climate. So we met together and we decided to start this association. Now we have more than 27 wineries that have joined all around the world. And the purpose of this association is to really decarbonize the wine industry. Okay, so to join this association, it is not easy, because you really have already to have achieved at least a 20% reduction on your carbon footprint. Okay, and then you have to reach intermediate goals during the next years until you become you have carbon neutrality. And this, of course, this means investing. This means changing the way that you are working in the winery, in the vineyards. So it's challenging, but to us, is today the best platform, the best certification that one can have to make sure that the wine that they are drinking are actually doing something, to fight against the climate change.
27 wineries. It would be nice to have 27,000 wineries on the list. I hope that we can get that way. I did want to ask one question, because I didn't see any Canadians on there, so I know that that it's hard to achieve these things, but have you had any interest from any Canadian wineries yet?
Well, I actually want to take advantage from this program to really, invite, all the Canadian wineries that would like to join, because, we have a great common goal, but also there's a great friendship between the wineries. We help one each other with the practices that we are doing, and we would love to have more Canadian wineries. Absolutely.
Wow. Our guest is Miguel Torres. We're going to take a quick break, but he's going to stick around, and when he comes back, we're going to talk about some ancient grape varieties and how he's blending the wines that his forefathers made with the future of the wines that they're making at Torres. All that and more coming up on the BC Food and Wine Radio Network. I'm Anthony Gismondi, and we'll be right back.
There's lots more still ahead. This is the BC Food and Wine Radio Network.
Penticton, the hub of the South Okanagan, a place where you'll learn to fall in love with winter all over again. Enjoy mountain adventures. Visit almost 100 wineries, craft breweries, cideries, and distilleries, and experience world-class, locally sourced restaurants. It's the perfect destination for a relaxing winter getaway. But before you go, make sure to check the website for updates on weather, highways, health advisories, or for more trip inspiration. Go to visitpenticton.com.
Your wine collection is your pride and joy. Years of searching and selecting has merited you an enviable list, but it's time to find a new home for some or all of your wine. As the only auction in Canada dedicated to fine wines and spirits, Iron Gate Auctions offers collectors a safe, inexpensive way to liquidate their collections online. They are experts in the field with the knowledge and acumen to maximize the return on your assets. To find out more, visit irongateauctions.com.
Sell smart, Buy with confidence. Whatever your unique real estate situation is, Ryan Duffy is the expert you can count on to make a decision you won't regret. From Kelowna to Assisi, Ryan will ensure you have all the information to find a home that fits your budget, family, and lifestyle. With 18 years of experience as a managing broker, brokerage executive, and a multi-year award-winning realtor, you can count on Ryan. It's your choice. Choose wisely. Choose Ryan Duffy for all your Okanagan-based real estate needs. To connect with Ryan, visit southokanaganhomes.ca.
Smoking Loon believes that good wine doesn't need to take itself so seriously. This simple premise has guided them for over 2 decades to produce wines crafted for those with an appetite for adventure, like their Smoking Loon Syrah. So whether you're relaxing dockside or simply enjoying a well-deserved evening at home, bring along a taste of cottage country. Uncork and discover a rare bird at a BC liquor store near you, or visit smokingloon.com.
Committed to handcrafting wines of distinction in Cowichan Valley, Unsworth Vineyards and Restaurant is a celebration of all things Vancouver Island. From a seasonally inspired menu showcasing fresh, local, sustainable ingredients to exceptional service and award-winning wines, Unsworth Vineyards gives bold new meaning to farm-to-table cuisine. Enjoy a delectable menu in a gorgeous restaurant where casual meets elegant. Sip and savor refreshingly delicious wines overlooking panoramic vineyard views. Reserve today at unsworthvineyards.com.
This is the BC Food and Wine Radio Network. Now, here's Anthony.
You know I love you so.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show across the province of British Columbia. Our guest is Miguel Torres. Of course, Miguel comes from a very famous wine family, Familia Torres, who've been in business for many generations, 5 in total. And I thought it would be kind of interesting to talk about, to start at least this part of the conversation, talking about a wine called Sangre de Toro, which now has original written on the label. And I believe, Miguel, is it your grandfather that started this label?
Yeah. My grandfather was the creator of this wine. Sangre de Toro means the blood of the bull, no, and that means like in Spain, this is the passion, and that's the energy that is part of the Spanish spirit, no. Yeah. And he made this wine, at the beginning with Garnacha and Cariñena. These are very two famous varieties here in Catalonia. Garnacha always brings you this great fruit and this open nose, and Cariñena is always the backbone, no? It always gives you a great structure to the wine. And actually, the history of this wine is quite interesting because you know that our winery was bombed during the Spanish Civil War.
Right.
Some of the bombs that had to go close to the train station end up in our winery. So yeah, everything was destroyed. And my grandfather struggled for the next years really to find a way that the business will continue, no? And then he invented the Sangre de Toro wine. People love it, and some of the first markets that he went to, one of them was Canada, and I still have beautiful pictures, very old pictures of him going around Canada, around the cities, and showing the Sangre de Toro as a most authentic wine from Spain, no? And people like it a lot, and I have to say that Canada helped us to come back and to keep making wine on those times, absolutely, and still today.
Do you think your grandfather would recognize this wine today as the wine that he made? I think the first one was out in '53. I think the first vintage or the.
Yeah. I think that he was recognized because the main varieties, are still there. I have to say that probably to today because there's more. We know we have maybe more finesse because we have more experience on making wine. Maybe the wine is probably even better than on those times, no? Yeah. But still, the soul of this wine is pretty much the same, and we work with families that are vine growers, and these families were on those times with the same vineyards, and now we buy the grapes to the sons. So it's really like a great work together. Huh?
Yeah. Miguel, we've been talking about climate change in the first segment. I want to talk about varieties now because I think you also thought that you maybe had to go higher, get cooler, or maybe look at at older varieties. What can you tell us about ancestral varieties and your pursuit of them that maybe was triggered by climate change?
Well, we started actually to find ancestral Catalan varieties around 30 years ago. But I have to say that when we started, it was more kind of a philanthropic project. We just wanted to have a collection, and we knew that in the past in Catalonia there used to be a lot of different grape varieties, many more than the ones that we know today. No. So to find them, we started putting ads in the local newspapers, and we were telling to the vine growers or farmers that if they would find any vine that they didn't know, maybe close to their vineyards or in the forest or close to a creek, they could call us, and then we would check the DNA of these vines. And it has been an amazing project, Anthony, because we've received hundreds of calls. And after all this time, we have recovered more than 65 ancient Catalan varieties that are very unique. Catalonia, of course, from a historic point of place, was a meeting place for the Romans, the Greeks, all these civilizations that they have gone through the Mediterranean, right? So here was the time and the place where really the vines they really developed a lot. There were a lot of mutations, new vines came, cross pollination. So it was fantastic. So when we realized about the climate change, we look back at this collection that we created, and we realized that some of these vines were producing grapes that they were getting ripe very late, and they still had a fantastic acidity. And this is what we need to make better wines, even with warmer climate, right? We need better acidity, and we need very late ripening. So we took them out from the collection, and we are actually planting them. These are the main varieties that we are planting today in the Penedès, but also in Conca de Barberà, in other appellations around. And I can tell you, some of them are fantastic. In the Mediterranean climate, we can have even a better acidity than wine in the Atlantic coast. No, it's something that is almost unbelievable, but it comes from the past, and sometimes you have to look at the future, also looking at the past.
Yeah, for sure. Interesting, because I talked to some Italians who were working on this up in northern Italy, the Legator family, and I remember that Alois Legator said to me, he said, well, okay, he said, I have recovered these vines and they work. He said, but it's going to be my kids that are going to have to sell it because it's a different story and a different variety. So it was interesting. He was happy with the wines, but everybody wants Pinot Gris up there, and now he's trying to sell an ancestral variety. So will it be easy to sell these grapes? Are you finding that there's a lot of interest in them?
Well, I can tell you that there's a lot of interest. Actually, we. Even that we are planting vineyards, the demand is very, very high because we see that people love these wines, and we are sharing these vines also with other vine growers so that they can plant, because we always feel these are not only our vineyards, these are the vineyards of our great grandparents, no? And if they can help to make better wines in the future, let's all go for it.
Yeah, let's do it. Sure. Our guest is Miguel Torres. He's a fifth-generation family member, and, of course, the GM of Familia Torres. It's one thing to evolve and change what you're doing. It's another to stay in business. You've done a lot of new things in the last 20 years, especially with wines. I think many Canadians maybe met you when you were in the Penedès region making just a handful of wines. Tell us a little bit about your expansion now and some of these new wines. I mean, I'm looking at a wine here called Perpetual, Côte Perpetual from Priorat. Where are you going to make wine today at Torres?
Well, we are in different appellations in Spain, no? But the one that you're talking about is from the Priorat, which is also in Catalonia. It's actually only an hour far away from where I live, so it's very close. And this is, I can say, this is a magical region. This is a place But when you go there, you get surprised how we can grow vineyards there, because it's all, very steep slopes with a lot of slate soil. Vines grow, like very, very slowly there. It's very hard for them. But the grapes that they produce are fantastic, especially the Garnachas and Cariñenas. And Perpetual is actually a wine made around 95% with Cariñena. That is always with very old vines. Here we only took vineyards that were planted before 1945. Very old vines.
Yeah, very old. Speaking of old, I've been enjoying that the latest vintage of Mas La Plana now is available in British Columbia. The 2015 it's just a sensational wine. It's a Cabernet Sauvignon, which many people wouldn't even associate right off the top with Spain. Tell us a little bit about this famous label and this great vintage.
Well, Mas La Plana, Mas means a farmhouse and Plana like the flat place. And this is a vineyard where most of us will live in different farmhouses, my parents, me, my sister. So it's a very special place for us, like the heart of the family. And this wine was first made in 1970, and my father wanted to experiment with Cabernet Sauvignon here in Spain. On those times, it was something almost forbidden, because we are always very rooted with our autochthonous varieties. We are still, but my father wanted to do a different wine and to maybe, see if they were as good as a Cabernet from other places around the world, no? Yeah. You have to picture that this is the time when the Cabernet was going outside of France, and it was showing some great wines. And the first vintage was 1970. It was an experimental wine, and it became famous because it was shown in the Wine Olympics in Paris in the year 1979. And it was a great scandal because a Cabernet Sauvignon from Spain got the first position in a blind tasting with the top sommeliers from France, from Paris.
Yeah.
And since that day, it's a very special wine for us because it shows us that we have a great terroir, and we really work hard. We can produce. We would like always to produce some of the best wines possible.
Well, Miguel, it's been fantastic to catch up with you today, just to talk about, I know that we talked about many different things, but we haven't seen you in such a long time. It was great for the catch-up. It's 2022. What can you tell us right now about what's going on in the vineyards? I imagine that everything's underway almost.
Now everything is quite, sleeping. The vineyards are they don't have any leaves. So, but it's a great time because it's a time for pruning, and it's a fantastic time when you can be alone in the vineyards and you can have like a very personal energy with the vineyards, no?
Yeah.
But in a few months, spring is gonna come, and then it changes all the colors. It becomes very electric green, and the whole cycle starts again. And it's a beautiful thing that happens, and that we as a family we really love.
Yeah, Miguel, I can't thank you enough for giving us this time today. I know you're up late at night, but it was just a pleasure to talk to you and to have just a glimpse into what's going on at Miguel Torres. For anybody listening, just head over to the Torres website and you can read all kinds of information about climate change and how the Torres family is fighting it both around Spain and globally with many other wineries. And as Miguel said today, Canadian wineries, you're welcome to join, so check it all out. I'd love to see some Canadian wineries on that list. Miguel, thanks so much, and we'll see you the next time you're in Vancouver, and I hope it's this year.
Yeah, I'm coming for sure, and thank you very much for the invitation. And if anybody from Canada is thinking about coming to Spain or to Barcelona, just remember that they have a good friend here, Miguel, and they can call us and they can visit the winery and drink some wine here. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thanks so much. Our guest from Spain was Miguel Torres. He's the fifth generation and GM of Familia Torres.